It's not okay. It's not a big debate between them. It's like they just have very different takes on stuff, and I think it'd be good to cover for my perspective, so I can add to it. I'm probably not gonna play Kyle's position that much at all, but Krystal's position on Ukraine is insane. Like, Krystal's position is batshit crazy. I am curious if they have internal feuds with each other. True, Milani writing that. Hello, everyone. Hello, L. Yeah, I'm still gonna be doing that longer stream eventually. I'm just not. I'm not physically healthy enough. I am exhausted 24/7, working. I calculated my hours. I am working like literally 80 hours a week on everything. Let's see. I guess start off with Hillary Clinton, maybe. Reese's Pieces. Ghislaine Maxwell. Nice. Nice. I heard she's a cool person. Don't side with Ukraine. Side with How was work today? Terrible. I was gonna say my body was shutting down from working so much and trying to do super long stream. So I'm gonna do that eventually. I don't know if Defin's even in the Discord, but Defin is having some type of mental episode, sending a bunch of money. And Defin needs to stop doing that. I'm gonna ban Defin for sending money. Alright, let me fix this really quick. I'm gonna low energy. Who cares? Low energy. America bad, proxy war nonsense. Yeah. So I heard Hillary Clinton praised Trump's foreign policy. This is a 1-hour podcast. I'm going to try to comb through it as much as possible. It made headlines, so, you know, Hillary Clinton, it's always amazing when she speaks. You know, let her speak. Break the glass ceiling, all that kind of stuff.
At all. I would not be, but I think we have to deal with the reality that we have, and President Trump has decided to go to Alaska to meet with Putin on our territory, in our state, on a military base. So I would be focused on trying to persuade him that he gains nothing by capitulating to Putin. I understand from everything I've read, he very much would like to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And honestly, if he could bring about the end to this terrible war where Putin is the aggressor, invading a neighbor country, trying to change the borders, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, had to, in a way, validate Putin's vision of greater Russia, but instead could really stand up to Putin, something we haven't seen, but maybe this is the opportunity.
Someone in the comment section in the chat saying blah, blah, blah. That's something liberals need to contend with. Gavin Newsom right now, the dumbass posting they're doing on Twitter is needed because these idiots are Neanderthals that can't speak with normal human dictation or language. So you have to grunt for them and make noises and be really loud and go, oh, you're stupid, for them to understand things. But what she's saying here is 100% like accurate.
to make it clear that there must be a ceasefire. There will be no exchange of territory.
Remember, Trump was saying ceasefire, and then he met with Putin, okay? And after he gave Putin the Glock 9000, after he gave Putin the little reach around, actually, no, Putin gave him the reach around, whatever, you know. After that, Trump said, and no ceasefire. You know, no more ceasefire, guys. They got to keep fighting. Trump literally said that word for word.
And that over a period of time, Putin should be actually withdrawing from the territory he seized in order to demonstrate his good faith efforts, let us say, not to threaten European security. If we could pull that off, if President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. Because my goal here is to not allow capitulation to Putin, aided and abetted by the United States. I think that's a terrible, terrible precedent. And I think it would make our country less safe. I think it would reward Putin's aggression, and he will not stop. We know that. You know, you can dream, Jessica, you can dream.
That's a big thing I've heard even far leftists talking about. Anyone who's anti-West, if you're anti-Western civilization, no, anti-West in terms of global geopolitics, all right? Whenever they say like, oh, Zelenskyy, even in the White House, the framing, Zelenskyy, do you want to keep on killing your people? Do you want to keep on killing your people in Ukraine, Zelenskyy? Do you want to keep on ripping young men off the streets to kill them into the meat grinder? And they don't say at all that Putin is the one that's doing everything bad in this circumstance. And it's like, hey, Zelenskyy, just give up 20% of Ukraine, 30% of Ukraine. I mean, stop the killing. That's not going to happen. You legitimize a new territory. You legitimize new lines. The invasion from Russia was already illegal before. All right, they're not just going to ever stop unless if they're forced to stop economically or, you know, when it comes to militarily.
And I'm dreaming that for whatever combination of reasons, including the elusive Nobel Peace Prize, President Trump may actually stand up to Putin on behalf of not just Ukraine and its democracy and its very brave people, but frankly, on behalf of our own security and interests.
The headline.
Did you guys see Putin? Did you see Trump said on a hot mic that, hey guys, this is kind of crazy, but I think, here's the video. Trump said, I think, it's kind of crazy, but I actually think that Putin wants to make a deal for me. I don't know if you can hear it. A trilad? Right there? Okay, you can barely hear it. But Trump says, it's kind of crazy, but I think Putin wants to make a deal for me. Like he's a little special angel. Like he's getting the special treatment, like a long-lost lover. Trump sounds like such a little baby boy. Holy shit, he's in love with Putin. Like for real. He wants to have sex with Putin. He is attached to Putin.
And we've been consuming a ton of media about this, and every single headline that I've read does not suggest that this is going to go well for the United States and that Putin is, licking his lips, essentially, at the prospect of being
because we have a brain-dead president
to our soil. And in the press briefing, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, said that we were honored to have him, which is definitely not the language I would be using, or I think maybe any other press secretary would be using about this. There's, the story about Special Envoy Witkoff misunderstanding what Putin was saying and coming back to the president and saying, oh, he wants to make concessions, when I don't think those words would ever be uttered by Vladimir Putin under any circumstances. And Donald Trump has really been trying to tamp down expectations since this was announced. So we went from, we're going to get a great deal, then it leaks out that he's frustrated that Putin tells him one thing and does another, which is the most obvious thing that Vladimir Putin does. And now this is, quote unquote, a learning exercise. Putting aside the idea of a Hillary.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy.
Base that has to send up fighter planes to watch and fend off Russian bombers that routinely harass our military assets, do overflights, engage in provocative behavior.
Would you have approached Israel-Hamas conflict differently? Oh, that's interesting. And yeah, Trump talking about like Putin wanting peace and Putin wanting good things for the countries and Putin wanting the violence to stop. Putin wants the violence to stop. He wants it. Yeah, Jessica's good. He wants the violence to stop. Putin hates the fact people are dying right now.
Maybe a return of the living hostages. This?
The biggest opportunity that was missed was after the 12-day war with Iran. Israel established such a dominance, intelligence dominance, military dominance, controlled the air over Iran, was able to destroy important infrastructure of their, military-industrial complex, had the addresses of some of the leaders in the nuclear program. And then the United States came in and added to that dominance with our unique capability. After that, it seemed to me Netanyahu should proclaim victory. He should have said,
Take the W.
Take the W. I mean, look at what we have accomplished. Hamas, which you're 100% right, is literally a death cult. It's on its knees. Iran, we have clearly sent a message very forcefully that we will not allow it to become a nuclear weapons power. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to lay out a plan for ceasefire on a fast track, whether or not Hamas agrees, because they have no...
Oh, man. Okay, here's the interesting one. Let's get it started in here. I'll take phone calls after this. I don't know. I'm kind of vibing right now. How are you guys? Drop a like on the stream. So this video is of breaking points with Krystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty. I think it's in Jetty. Krystal Ball is married to Kyle Kulinski. They're both more far left populist progressives, so they're usually very anti-America in every single foreign policy aspect. So they might say like, oh, Bernie's good on... Actually, no, Bernie's not far, enough on their side for Gaza. But let's say you agree with Bernie and AOC on Gaza, but not with Ukraine, because you don't want to support America foreign policy in general. So you're like you're not pro-Russia, but you're also very victim-blaming on Ukraine. Now, Kyle Kulinski sees Ukraine, and he has the correct take. He says, well, Ukraine's being invaded by a huge power. Russia wants to occupy Ukraine. It's illegal. It's terrible. They're killing kids. They're killing elderly. They're killing a bunch of civilians for fun. And Kyle Kulinski has the correct point there, a populist lefty. But then Krystal Ball here does 100% full Russian propaganda. Like, she is deranged. This is batshit insane what she says here. I watched it earlier. But this is batshit insane. I'm happy Kyle Kulinski has principle, and he's not letting her bring him down on this point. But it's really pathetic that she just buys into the framing.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Have an amazing show for everybody today. We have Krystal.
Indeed, we do. We got a big show today. The one and only Professor Jeffrey Sachs is going to join us to be able to break down that big Ukraine summit.
Jeffrey Sachs is anti-Western. Okay, so he's like pro-BRICS, for example. He's pro-Russia, pro-China. He's anti-America in every sense. He's going to do some great propaganda
from
here.
Yesterday. So really looking forward to hearing what he thought of everything that has transpired to this date. We also had some other interesting sound come from Trump as a part of that summit, talking about how he's getting rid of mail-in ballots. He also posted Truth Social to the same effect.
Based.
Also sort of floating the idea of, hey, maybe for a war, we just don't have an election. So
He wants to copy Ukraine.
Yeah.
Got the idea.
Lot to take note.
Yeah, and they say this dumbass buffoonery, this dumbass moronic bullshit where they're like, they're copying Ukraine with no wars. It's in their damn constitution. It's illegal to have elections, and they made it that way because they know Russia's going to invade every now and then, and they can't have elections when Russia's occupying 20% of the freaking country. And Krystal Ball and Sagar are going to laugh and like, oh, Zelenskyy. They have this theory in their brains that Zelenskyy is a power-hungry egomaniac who wants his time in the spotlight, ignoring all real politics. Like, it's just so pathetic saying that shit. It's illegal for Ukraine to have elections right now. It's literally illegal for them to do it. It's not some choice of emergency power during wartime. Their parliament would need to overturn that in the Constitution.
There and break down. Also, we were asking the question whether Gavin Newsom is going to mean his way to the presidency. He seems to be making some progress in that regard. Very interesting dynamics unfolding there. A little bit of weird horseshoe going on as well. So we'll break that down for you. The ADL chief is just outright lying about Zoran Mamdani. So we've got the receipts on that. And some quite noteworthy developments vis-a-vis Israel. Hamas has accepted a ceasefire deal. I wouldn't get too excited yet because, the Israelis will probably decide they just want to continue the war. But we did want to give you those details as well as some other updates. Before we jump into the show and this interview with Professor Sachs.
No. Kyle Kulinski's opinion here is good. His opinion's fine, okay? So is Bernie's. Bernie voted against Israel aid. He voted for aid for Ukraine, okay? He split the vote there. So there's a reason you would vote for Ukraine aid, but not Israel aid, obviously. But far lefties that are very anti-America, like Krystal or like Hassan Piker, will say, well, America's bad in every aspect, so we should not be helping Ukraine whatsoever. They want to blame Ukraine. So
Sagar
Kyle's
had
fine.
Some great breaking news yesterday, very significant. Why don't you break down for folks what you found and were able to get your hands on?
For our premium members, I dropped it last night just to get ahead of the news. But basically, you'll remember the story about Tom Alexandrovich, the Israeli government official who was caught up in an FBI child sex sting. I actually got my hands on some of the arrest documents and specifically the interview notes. And what we found inside of the documents is that Alexandrovich immediately identified himself as an Israeli government official. The FBI and HSI agents who interviewed him basically said, we're going to contact the embassy on your behalf. This directly contradicts the prime minister's office, who said that they didn't know that he had been arrested. He said, I need to get on a flight to Israel immediately.
That is a weird story. I have not seen anything about that yet, or enough about that yet.
If you're able. We're not keeping it behind the paywall or anything. I'm going to release it all publicly today, but it was important to give it to our premium subscribers first.
The other detail there is the
dodging crimes to go to another country is normal, but the capacity to do it and not be stopped is the interesting thing there.
An undercover agent who was posing as a 15-year-old.
Oh, I didn't even talk about the actual crime. It's disgusting.
I don't like talking about things with this subject matter if I'm not fully informed on it, guys. So if someone calls into my show, for example, and they start talking about some like conspiracies about the Holocaust or 9/11 or about Israel or whatever, I'm not saying everything's true or not true. I'm just saying if I'm not well versed on it, I don't have those conversations on my platform if I'm not ready.
Jeffrey Sachs standing by. Let's get to it.
I don't know that.
We are very excited now to be joined by our friend Professor Jeffrey Sachs, who is obviously a major geopolitical expert. And he's going to help us break down the Trump, Ukraine, and European summit that happened yesterday. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
So, Professor, first we're going to go through this so that you can help break this down through the audience, kind of clip by clip, and each one of those things that it represents. To us, the major headline that came out of the summit was Trump not ruling out United States troops on the ground in Ukraine to provide some sort of Article 5 style security guarantee inside of Ukraine as some sort of grand peace deal with Russia. Here's Trump refusing to rule it out.
Your team has talked about security guarantees. Could that involve U.S. troops? Would you rule that out in the future?
We'll let you know that maybe later today. We're meeting with...
You can ask a 5-year-old child who just banged his head into a brick wall 80,000 times, and he'll get the same responses. Nothing Trump says here matters. At one point, Ukraine aid was cut off randomly after Trump said to give Ukraine more aid, to resume it, and they said to Trump, who paused the aid to Ukraine? And Trump said, you tell me, I don't know who paused it. Like, he's literally just a brain dead moron. There's no difference in response here from a brain dead child versus him.
7 great leaders of great countries also, and we'll be talking about that. They'll all be involved, but there'll be a lot of help when it comes to security. There's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe, but we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
Please drop a like on the stream. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. I'll take some phone calls later on. This video is around a half hour. I'll do probably a full reaction to it. Give my Ukraine takes here.
Will be involved, Professor, so not refusing to, or basically refusing to rule out not putting U.S. troops on the ground. There were several other instances during the meeting where this, quote, Article 5 style guarantee was brought up by many of the European leaders. Of course, we're hearing from the Kremlin, but first we want your reaction to what that would mean to the overall situation and Trump's rhetoric here and what it could potentially mean for any sort of peace deal.
Well, I don't believe we've just had 11 years of war and that the war is about to stop because the United States or Europe says they're going to have troops on the ground or Article 5-like agreements. This whole war started because the United States was pushing NATO to surround Russia and as far eastward as they could get. So
remember, there are 6 NATO countries bordering Russia. There are 6 NATO countries bordering Russia. Okay, 6.
I don't think that...
Ukraine is the only one of those countries, other than Belarus, that Russia has said is part of their Greater Russia project. Okay. So Ukraine in general, they had a puppet government there that fell apart during a revolution around a decade ago in Ukraine. All right, and at that point, Russia started to send troops and propagandists into Ukraine to try and shift Ukraine back to Russia's control. And then after that did not work, that's one reason Russia kept on invading and fighting at the borders. So like that framing alone is brain dead as shit.
The Russian side is going to say, sure, whatever you like. What we saw yesterday was I wouldn't say a master class, but it was a class in ambiguity on everything. Nothing was clear. Nothing was
like, here's
truthful.
A NATO map.
Nothing was settled.
Here's a NATO map. You can see all the countries.
There is a general recognition that Ukraine is losing on the battlefield. A general fact that the United States political scene is not going to continue any large-scale war, proxy or otherwise, with Russia, and so that something should be done to end this. But the specifics are as vague as can be, and deliberately so. And Trump thinks that the way to make deals is to prevaricate, to make things vague.
Well,
to
you support American empire. I 100% support American empire over Russian empire or Chinese empire. 100%. 100. If you don't think that's a valid opinion, you are brain dead. Like, yes, you prefer American empire. Yeah, an imperfect empire that you have a chance to actually change is better than a totalitarian empire. Okay, and
things behind the scenes to pull each person in as his buddy to say yes to everything in an oblique way. But it's not going to end with the Article 5-like guarantees. In my view, the Russians have been fighting against that basically for more than 30 years. They've been in a hot war over it for 11 years because this war started in February 2014 when the United States conspired in a coup to overthrow a neutralist government. And the Russians aren't going to just say, yeah, Trump, you're our buddy. You put troops if you want. I don't believe it. Right. I think it would also be a terrible idea if the United States had troops in Ukraine.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, you could put A4 up on the screen, guys. Kremlin negatively reacting to that proposal of Article 5, like security guarantees. Certainly no surprise there. You know, just zooming out a bit, Professor, I'd just love to get your thoughts on what are the core sticking points for the Russians? What would be a deal that they would be interested in? What sort of conditions?
They want to expand the territory that they have right now. They want to take territory they don't even have currently. They want to redraw the lines officially with U.S. backing. And they want rights over probably the ports. And it's just like they want everything that they wanted. Like they want everything that they went for to begin with. And America wants to give them that. And they're going to say it's a peace deal. Like, no, you're giving them you're letting them win. I hate when they say, too, you think, they'll probably say it, you think Ukraine's going to win this war, bro? Ukraine is being invaded. It's not a war for them to win. It's a war of survival. They're surviving against an invading a force of a giant country that's nuclear armed. Like, of course, they're not going to win. They're not going to beat Russia. They don't want to beat Russia. If Russia left today, there would be zero war whatsoever. If Ukraine leaves, their entire population is genocided.
Would the U.S., the Ukrainians, the Europeans, the West broadly have to meet in order to conclude some sort of a grand peace deal and bring this war to a close?
We have to understand where the war came from and therefore how it can end. The war started with the continuation of the Cold War after 1991. People thought there was peace, but the CIA, the military-industrial complex, continued the effort.
Yes, the CIA, military-industrial complex. Now, let's say they played roles, all right? I would not change my opinion. These agencies have done bad things. They have done good things, okay? Assigning moral value to the CIA in 1960, 1990, and 2025 in the same way is insane. They're malleable agencies that can serve different tasks. And acting like the CIA and all these different agencies in America are the reason Eastern European countries separated from the Soviet Union and voted for independence is taking away the full ability of self-determination and just the idea that Ukrainians and others and the other Eastern European countries could make decisions for themselves.
To weaken Russia, Brzezinski talked about Russia falling into three pieces in a 1997 article saying that maybe there'll be a loose confederation of a European Russia, a Siberian Russia, a Far East Russia. But the U.S. design was that Russia should finally basically be crushed, that the Cold War was with the Soviet Union, but we're not over yet. We're dominant. We won. And on that basis, Clinton began NATO enlargement. I say Clinton because basically every president then did the bidding of the military.
Taking away their agency? What's another word for that? Taking away their agency? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Military-industrial complex. Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump 1, Biden, and maybe
acting like Ukrainians did not do their own revolution.
This crazy
multiple
misadventure,
times.
But this has been 30 years of trying to push NATO to Ukraine and to Georgia, by the way, in the South Caucasus, where the U.S. meddling continues to this day. The idea is Russia is a big country, and therefore it should be a weak country, according to the U.S. Strategic doctrine. Okay, we overthrew a government in February.
Okay, so Russia should be weak. Russia puts bounties on American troops. Russia wants to topple America in general. Russia wants to hack our country to pieces. Russia wants our country to die. They want us to die. Okay, wanting Russia to fail is a normal thing for any person who loves freedom in general. You can hate America. You should also want Russia to fail. That should not be a
2014 installed a pro-NATO regime. Russia immediately took back Crimea at that moment because the post-coup government in Ukraine said, okay, we want Russia out of its Black Fleet naval base in Crimea. That's a naval base that Catherine the Great established in 1783 and that has been core to Russia's national security and power since.
Yes, the Russian propaganda. I very much care about their power they derive from 200 years ago.
1783. The United States
300.
And let's say the deep state said
Autonomy,
we want Russia out of there. That was the same idea of the British and the French in 1853 of trying to get Russia out of Crimea in the Crimean War. Okay, enough history. The basic point is Russia does not want to be surrounded. It does not want NATO present. It does not want security guarantees like Article 5. It does not want Western troops on the ground. It wants Ukraine, at a minimum, to be a neutral buffer zone between the United States and its proxies and allies.
Now, they call it proxies in America. Okay, now find me the time where NATO aggressed upon Russia. The reason all those Eastern European countries and Finland, the recent addition, really rushed to join NATO is in a defensive response to Russia's aggression. It never aggressed upon Russia. It was always in response to Russian aggression as a form of defense against Russia. And
Russia. That's the bottom line. So, starting point, no NATO. Similarly, nothing that's NATO-like or NATO-light of French and British troops and German troops, and that's what the whole war has been about. Right. Second, Crimea is never going back. This is absolutely clear. This was a gambit. This was a ploy of NATO to grab Crimea. And the whole idea, which Brzezinski spelled out in 1997, was if we can basically get Ukraine and push Russia out of the Black Sea, then Russia has no power in the Middle East. It has no power in the Eastern Mediterranean. And that was part of the strategy. So Crimea staying. Then come the territories that Russia has annexed as of November 2022. This is 2 in the east and 2 in the south. The idea of this goes back to 2 points. One is that at least in the east, these are overwhelmingly ethnically Russian regions that don't.
Oh man, he's saying the ethnically Russian point. That's crazy. That's the same thing Hitler said about Czechoslovakia when Germany invaded there. They were really just German. They wanted to be part of Germany, and the other countries at the time said, well, guys, we have to appease Germany. They will not take any more. They will stop here. Then you invade Poland. Like, it's just, the ethnic Russian point is pure Russian propaganda. It's such a stupid freaking point. Like, oh, there's ethnic people here. There's ethnic Americans in Canada. Let's invade. There's ethnic Mexicans in Texas. It's just so stupid. It's so dumb.
And Russia said in 2015, make them autonomous. We don't want them as territory, but make them autonomous under a treaty called the Minsk II Agreement.
True.
The United States,
the treaty that Russia,
typically because it was still in its expansionist mode, said no. Told Ukraine, you don't have to honor that agreement. Russia did not claim those territories. It just said leave them alone to have the Russian language, Russian ethnicity, and so forth. And Ukraine, in the post-coup environment, said no. We will take them in a unitary state. So
by June 2015, Russia violated Minsk II over 4,000 times. The ceasefire collapsed because Russia refused to go by any treaty or ceasefire at any point. Oh my God. Minsk II obligated withdrawal of all foreign armed military units and military equipment from the Donbass.
Russia grabbed those back. now. It's claimed those back
this video
because the
is a
Minsk II
popular
agreement
video
failed.
too.
The reason why I think the map is quite important, sir, is if you look at the
that.
red areas, this is, I guess, this is, I mean, probably as accurate as it gets. This is the United States, you know, intelligence community creating this map for the president in the Oval Office, which he used. And as you were talking, you can actually see the percentage numbers that have been listed here by the U.S. intelligence community. If we zoom in, we could see some 70 to 80 to 90% of many of these provinces, like you were talking, or sorry, these areas, like you were talking about, and they're controlled by Russia. So you can just, as you can see from that map, it backs up much of what you're saying.
So the basic idea is that, ironically, before the United States made the coup in February 2014, Russia was not claiming these territories at all.
Before the U.S. made the coup, if you talk to people who live in Ukraine who are part of that revolution, it's extremely disrespectful to people fighting for their independence from a corrupt authoritarian government to say they were couped by another country in America. That's freaking insane.
Not at all.
You can go to Ukraine right now. Go watch interviews of Ukrainians. I'm not going there, but you can watch interviews.
For Ukraine, because this is so typical of the CIA.
And you can go. There's actual journalists there
for our supposed friends. So when the coup came, and Kiev, that is the new central government in the post-coup Ukraine, said we'll crack down on the ethnic Russian regions in the east and the south. A treaty was brokered by Russia to stop what was then a beginning war, called the Minsk I and then the Minsk II agreements. And
Russia didn't. Okay, where's Krystal at? I want to hear Krystal's opinion. Is she going to talk at the end of this? Wait, let me see. Is there a point where they talk without him for a little bit? No, must be a different video.
And I have to say, I'm no admirer, I'm no believer that this is defending Ukrainian democracy. There is no democracy. And so one of the things that...
What the hell, bro?
And I've never really...
Okay, she probably was asking the question here, right?
Best one will be...
Thing the next day when he's with someone else. I wanted to ask you about how Zelenskyy figures into all of this. Let's say that the vibes between him and Trump were very different this time than the last time Zelenskyy was in the Oval Office. Let's go ahead, guys, and play A2.
We had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one. Or sorry, maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good. And we spoke about very sensitive points. The first one is security guarantees. And we are very happy with President that all the leaders are here, and the security in Ukraine depends on the United States and on you and on those leaders who are with us.
And Professor Zagar and I both noted he seems to have really been working on his English. Clearly, he realizes that it's very important he's able to have an effective relationship with President Trump here. But you know, you said earlier, it seems like the Ukrainian people are exhausted, want to bring this war to a close. It's not clear that their president is on board with that. You know, what do you make of his...
Like this, bro, this saying Zelenskyy is not on board with it. And Krystal has refused to bring up Putin and Russia in this equation whatsoever. Oh, man.
Role in his positioning and what he wants to see going forward.
First, it's important to understand that
he's an egomaniac who
is
wants
martial
people to die.
Law in Ukraine.
Yes, martial law.
We watched the videos
the
also of people being forcibly knocked off their bicycles or dragged off the street to the front line to their death.
Oh, to their death. Where did they die at? Really, where did they die? I'm really confused. Where did they die, and how did they die? You know, Russia. You know, if they left, there would be no more war. If Ukraine put their guns down, they would be dead and in re-education camps like instantly. But you know, let's talk about Ukraine and how they have conscription and how they have a draft. Let's talk about Ukraine. You know, if America was being invaded and 20% of our territory was taken by an invading force like China, we would also have a draft, 100%. No one would even argue it. That'd be such a clear-cut example of when you would need a draft to defend your country. But no, let's not talk about Russia shooting their troops, sending them up with no weapons to go and just die. Random people, random North Koreans, just random people going out there getting droned to death. In a war of attrition. Like, Russia has suffered so many casualties compared to Ukraine because they don't care at all about their people. But again, let's not talk about Russia ever. And these people are on the left, right? They're on the left. Let's not talk about Russia. Let's never talk about Russia. Let's talk about Ukraine. Yeah, freaking Ukraine. Ugh.
Zelenskyy is ruling over a military regime, not a democracy.
Remember, it's in their constitution. According to and reinforced by their parliament, They will not have elections while under invasion or in wartime when their territory is occupied. How can they have an election when 20% of the country is occupied by Russia? How? How would you do that? If all of Texas was occupied by China, how would we have an election in America? How would we do that? Now, it's not in our Constitution in the same way as it is in Ukraine's, but their Constitution was made on purpose to be that way. If their parliament would change it, they can vote on it and change it, then that can happen. But
Democratic term of office expired years ago, and he continues to rule by martial law, basically.
That's not how that works at all.
So I don't give any I don't give any legitimacy
what's a constitution?
To his statements as reflecting the will of the Ukrainian people. This is a starting point. I've never really admired what he's done, because rather than signing a peace agreement that he had in front of him in April 2022 that would have ended this war on far better terms than anything that's going to happen now, he let the United States talk him out of that. Maybe.
So if someone's breaking into your house, you can simply end it. You can end it by letting them come in and steal everything, right? You can just end it right there. It's easy. Just let them steal everything in your house. Let them just like kill your dog, kill your cat. Let them just do everything they want to do, all right? There will be no conflict at all. Just let them get in, take the shit, get out, all right? Why would you not accept that? Why would you not just let someone come in your house and steal your stuff? I mean, do you want conflict? Did you want to fight someone or punch them or shoot them when they entered your home? I mean, you obviously want war if you don't let someone just take your house from you. You obviously want war, right? You wanted the conflict. It's your fault, actually. The person that robbed you, well, we don't got to talk about them. Don't worry.
He's a mere puppet anyway. But instead of signing an agreement that was on the table on April 15th, 2022 in the so-called Istanbul process, he walked away from a pease agreement. Since then has lost massive territory and probably a million Ukrainian dead. So I'm no fan, I have to say. No admirer, I'm no believer.
Has he criticized Putin in this conversation at all? In this half-hour conversation? Has there been one criticism of Russia? Now, they might say, well, you know, Zelenskyy is a piece of shit dictator who wants to kill every single child in Ukraine and rip them into vans, and he's pushing this war. But also, Russia invaded, I guess. But Ukraine, though, Zelenskyy, he's an evil dictator. Like, okay, thank you, Krystal, for defending freedom. Imagine. Thank God Kyle Kulinski, her husband, is not this brain dead. Thank God she did not kill his brain yet.
That this is defending Ukrainian democracy. There is no democracy. And so one of the things that makes the idea that if Zelenskyy meets with Putin...
She is good on some issues, okay? I don't hate Krystal. She says vote for blue Democrats to prevent fascism. She's very on top of criticizing Trump 100%. But on this one topic, for some reason, I don't know if Sagar got her just in some type of mind trap or something, but she is saying some crazy shit.
He's shown to be on the big stage.
And by the way, she reinforces when he says these things. Krystal agrees.
And then he can maintain his power either through winning a re-election, perhaps, or just expanding
and extending his power. Yes,
his military rule. But this seems to be the...
Hey, guys, if Zelensky's role is purposely letting the war go on to maintain power, and, you know, Russia violated all those treaties and ceasefires before, they violated everything. Let's pretend that never happened, all right? If Zelensky's goal is to get reelected, do you know what would make Zelenskyy really, 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 really popular? You know what would probably make him like one of the most popular people in Ukrainian political history? Maybe like if he could easily end the conflict to get full Ukrainian independence and peace. That'd probably make him really popular, right? But no, of course, it's a big conspiracy theory. He purposely wants this to happen, of course. Why not, dude?
A carrot that Trump is dangling to Zelenskyy. I'll put you on the big stage. We won't overthrow you. We won't let Putin diss you. You'll have respect, stage. But you have to give in on this, and this. So, frankly, you know, Zelenskyy is... Look, he's losing a war on the battlefield. He doesn't have the public support. He rules by martial law. By all accounts, which I can't personally verify, but by all accounts, the regime is incredibly corrupt.
Zelenskyy offered to step down as a compromise and a deal, and they went to multiple destinations that America set for Russia and Ukraine to talk, and Russia did not show up to any of them. Ukraine has had this all on the table. They have accepted every ceasefire so far. Ukraine has accepted every chance at peace so far. Russia has not. Russia launched their biggest attack of the war yesterday, like during the meeting with the European leaders in D.C. Russia increased their strikes in Ukraine. They quadrupled them when Trump won the election. They doubled them since Trump took office. Like, Trump is an easy mark for them. And it's pathetic to hear people buying this bullshit propaganda.
So not only am I no fan, I think probably what Trump is trying to do is to appeal to the most narrow and basest survival instincts of Zelenskyy himself, and dangling this meeting with Putin, the big stage summit, as the prize, and then getting Zelenskyy in one way or another to
as the prize,
end the rhetoric of
all
fighting
Zelenskyy
on
wants is a big ego trip.
1991 borders.
Yes,
I think
Krystal.
that's what's happening.
Shake your head.
Last thing
Krystal,
we wanted
yes.
to take on, sir, is some of the continuation, because the threat from the United States is, well, if this doesn't work, we'll just go to more sanctions, as if Russia is not the most sanctioned country in the world. Already,
keep sanctioning them. If they want to go violate international law and take parts of Ukraine and just take it and annex it, then you don't let them back into the international order ever. Like, if you don't want to give military support to Ukraine, that's fine. But they should be sanctioned for the rest of history. Do secondary sanctions as well. But... yeah.
We've actually seen, we can put A7, please, here on the screen. Both Lindsey Graham and the White House advisor, Peter Navarro, say that India's, quote, Russian crude oil buying must stop. Of course, even the imposition of 50% tariffs on India has not changed their behavior a single iota. In fact, Narendra Modi is posting about phone calls with President Putin just yesterday. I believe I was reading this morning.
Nice.
Some of that
we played it here.
Days and days. What is the United States doing? We have to find our friends and so forth. So this was a blunder that has...
He says he's friends with BRIC countries, by the way, with BRICS. He's very pro being anti-America. This guy is crazy. I saw a video of Krystal and Sagar talking as well. I don't know when it was from, but she said some crazy stuff there too. I want to find it really quick. Dave Smith was destroying neocons on the show. Thank you. Amazing. Hillary praises Trump on Ukraine peace talk. Is this the one, maybe?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Krystal?
Yep, lots to get into today. So Zelenskyy is in town along with a whole bunch of European leaders. So we will see what will come out of that. Also, Hillary Clinton agreeing with Trump on a number of foreign policy issues. So
it's a sell time.
Looking forward to getting Sagar's reaction to that.
Let's get the hell out of this timeline as soon as possible.
In particular, yes. Yeah. Actually, that's what we were just discussing before we went live. In addition, we have lots more to get to. This story, I can't even believe this is real. A top Israeli aide to Netanyahu was arrested in Las Vegas.
Did they say this again in the other video?
Or your favorite episode to a friend, give us a 5-star rating. It really helps other people find it. So let's go ahead and start with Ukraine. We had Professor John Mearsheimer break down the exact kind of the meaning of the summit. We have some more details now that are coming out.
I'm not getting any calls, guys. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. By the way, thank you for hitting this donation goal. We're getting close to it. We're at 19% to this goal for me to get an actual studio. I really appreciate all the donations. Thank you so much. For everyone that donated to a longer stream, I'm going to do that still. I still have that in the chamber. Like I said, I probably work 70 hours a week right now. I'm exhausted, so I have to set aside time to actually sleep a few nights in a row before I do the super long stream. But I appreciate you all for the support. Thank you so much. But yeah, once I get callers, I'll take some. But
we know, of course, that President Zelenskyy is already here in Washington. Almost every major leader of NATO from the European Union will be here in Washington as well for a grand meeting between Zelenskyy, Trump, and all of them to kind of set the terms. We did get some interesting new revelations on what we could see in any sort of peace agreement from Steve Witkoff, the chief negotiator of the president.
Steve
would allow that to happen?
No, Jake, that's not what I said. What I said is that
the front line, including some cities that they already control. Everyone, please keep in mind, the Ukrainian government is like, oh, well, we can't give that up. These cities are rubble, no matter where they control it or not, both for Russia and for Ukraine. It's not like some thriving metropolis that they're just handing over, right? These have been completely emptied and destroyed.
Okay, so if a country comes in and bombs your cities, therefore you can just go and take it. Like, Krystal will hear this argument from Sagar and let it stand. And then if someone says that about Gaza, which is also wrong, she will say this is the biggest travesty in human history. Like, you cannot have a double standard here. Just because you're anti-America in every context.
That is by far the single most significant thing that has come out. But
it's rubble anyway.
We should keep
Might
in
as well
mind,
give it to
even
him.
if that is true, You have to get Zelensky to agree. Zelensky, in the last 48 hours, I have tracked every single one of his public statements. He is not even close to coming towards a peace deal. In fact, his chief aim from the Financial Times and others, which I will return to, is not only a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire. Why does he want an immediate ceasefire? Because they're losing the war and they're expending and losing manpower.
They're being invaded and their civilians are being bombed every single day in rising numbers as Trump pussyfoots around the issue. But Sagar's like, well, they're losing the war. Ukraine would not be at a war. Ukraine would not be at a war if Russia was not invading them. Again, these people hate America. Like, Sagar, he is a demon. Like, he should not be, like, the fact Krystal does a show with him is insane.
An immediate ceasefire. He wants a security guarantee before, on top of the ceasefire. He's not.
Corey. I said, okay, so if Sagar says and Krystal say that the cities in Ukraine are rubble, the cities are rubble in Ukraine, so who cares if they lose it? I'm saying that she's being inconsistent because she'll just laugh that away. She'll laugh it away. But then Gaza comes up and she says it's the biggest travesty in human history. But she needs to be consistent is what I'm saying.
Not ready to agree to a peace deal because he keeps saying, I can't even agree to a peace deal. I have to bring it to a national referendum, which of course he can control the process through which that would happen. Part of the reason he is here in Washington today with all the European leaders is actually to convince Trump to go back to Putin and say, you need to agree to an immediate ceasefire or we're going to put all of these secondary sanctions on you. I believe, this is echoing Mearsheimer, that Trump, it all finally clicked for him to say, no matter what sanctions I do, no matter what's going on, Putin, what he's demanded.
Nothing clicks for Trump. Trump has literally said, I think Putin is going to give me a deal because he likes me, as crazy as that sounds. Trump has said that Putin speaks with elegant language, and Trump can't believe the beautiful language leads to more airstrikes of children the next day. Trump thinks Putin loves him. Trump says him and Putin have gone through so much together. Like, Trump is not here at all. He's a brain-dead mental...
Has really not changed all that much since Istanbul back in 2022. And it's basically immovable from that point forward. And so you basically have these two almost immovable objects now, considering the Ukrainian and the European Union position. The United.
Thank you for $5, Corey. Corey, thank you for $5 with a crab. Thank you for $5, Corey. Thank you so much.
United States is caught in between. For some reason, we have subjugated all of our policy.
Okay, after I get Krystal's take here, after I hear Krystal's take here, I'll take a caller. Okay, I want to hear her take.
To the EU and to the Ukrainians, and then the Russians, of course, have no compunction about killing thousands of men on the front line every single day if they have to continue to grind forward inch by inch in Ukraine. So it's bad all the way around. I see no possible way. Echoing actually the Secretary of State Marco Rubio on television, he's like, we're not even close to a peace agreement right now. So I believe him. I think he's right. And, with the European Union and the Ukrainians, it's not good right now.
That's and just to spell people out for people, and you guys did a great job with Mearsheimer spelling this out over the weekend.
Like, do you realize this president we have is literally a brain-dead idiot? Like, he was taking a picture with them. He's like, I got a new picture on the wall. That was not a good day. That wasn't a good day. It wasn't a good day. Remember when Trump said, this traumatized me so much I can barely talk about it? Now he cannot stop talking about it. These are the most pathetic loser bitches in the world, the people that do this shit. I think he's like a cat. He really is like a cat. Actually, I take my words back. He's neurodivergent. He actually has issues, right? He's got to be he should be in a home right now. That was not a good day. That was not a great day. That was not a good day.
Difference between a ceasefire and a peace deal. The Ukrainians want a ceasefire because that means you don't have to actually deal with the reality of the territorial.
And Trump said that the reason that if Trump won 2020, Putin would not have invaded is because Trump had strong borders. He said he's like, I had strong borders in America, therefore Russia wouldn't.
And a peace deal. The Ukrainians want a ceasefire because that means you don't have to actually deal with the reality of the territorial loss. You can just say, okay, we're just taking a pause, gives them a chance to sort of regroup, reconstitute, reconsider, etc. Whereas the Russians, I mean, he has been saying basically the same thing from the beginning of the war about what the conditions are that would need to be met.
Okay, what conditions?
And, fundamentally, they are unacceptable to the Ukrainians. They're unacceptable to the Europeans.
International law.
They're unacceptable to a lot of the American leadership
international
as well.
Law.
So
no, not the Europeans and Americans and Ukrainians. International law, basic ideas of sovereignty, basic ideas of criminal warfare being rejected. Like, what is she going on about, bro? Like, I swear, she'll grill Alyssa Slotkin Rightfully so, all right? But she is so brain dead here, she doesn't see the hypocrisy. Do you see how light this is now?
Question is, are you going to end up
the crazy ones are the Ukrainians,
with a Ukraine that is at all, sovereign? The faster this ends, the better it is for Ukraine. And it's going to be...
That's not always true. A bad deal is way worse than no deal. That is true. A bad deal is worse than no deal. You don't rush into this shit. It's not buying a new car. You shouldn't rush into that either. But it's not true. Ending it quick. By the way, if you go to the car dealership, it's not God.
Incredibly ugly. Like, if it ends now, it's going to be incredibly ugly, the kind of deal that would have to be struck.
During these so-called negotiations, Russia has quadrupled, again, their strikes on civilians.
But if you continue, it is likely to only get even uglier because of the logic of Russia just having so much more manpower and Ukraine really spending so much of their manpower already in this war.
Okay, so So in Gaza, I mean, it's a decimated territory. We had October 7th. Now Israel wants to occupy everything and fully do a Gaza ethnic cleansing. All right, they're a bigger, powerful nation. I don't know why these people in Gaza, they won't accept the peace deal and release the hostages. It's their fault. If they let this continue, if Hamas lets this continue, it's going to get way worse and worse and worse. And it's Hamas's fault. Israel simply defending themselves. And Hamas was encroaching upon, do you realize what she's saying here?
And being in such a precarious position, things have been the Russians continue to make sort of minor advances. They did have a significant breakthrough that we covered last week. However, as time goes on, the Russians are betting that whatever
we fund Israel, we don't fund Russia. Yeah, that matters when it comes to an arms embargo or when it comes to withholding aid for certain requirements. But when it comes to international law and talking about a stronger power trying to occupy and ethnically cleanse a smaller power, that logic still applies. Now, our culpability and our involvement in these situations can change. You can argue America should not be involved, but the fact America wants to force Ukraine to fit the Russian narrative is crazy. It's insane. I know that we fund Israel, and that's why it's different in that regard. But it does not change at all in the value judgment. And the weak words, the passive language she uses when discussing Russia.
If they're facing from the sanctions, whatever potential societal instability they're facing, which, from the surface level doesn't seem like a whole lot, that they can basically outlast the...
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. One more time. You can be pro-Taiwan, pro-Ukraine, and pro-Palestine. All right? You can be those things. That's why Bernie Sanders is based.
Ukrainians, and I think that's a fairly safe bet to make.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not on a timeline. Both the Russians and the Ukrainians are living in insane timelines where the Ukrainians are
both.
Look at this micro breakthrough that we made. It's look at the time scale. In 2022, you launched your grand counteroffensive and you made all of this talk about retaking this. None of it happened. We gave you probably $100 billion since that time period. The front line is relatively frozen.
Russia has been, if the front line's frozen, that means Ukraine's very successful.
And if there's been any movement, it's been on the Russian side. Now, Zelenskyy himself, again, reiterating those core demands where he wants a security guarantee explicitly ahead of that. He only wants a ceasefire immediately before moving to peace. And then, in terms of any territorial concession, he's already ruling that out without a national referendum.
Well, you would think if Russia truly wants peace, think about this. If Russia cannot accept a ceasefire, why would you even think for a second they're going to accept a treaty or accept any type of deal? If they cannot stop for one day, if Russia's gonna spit in America's face and spit in Ukraine's face and launch their biggest civilian offensive, going after civilians in Ukraine, the day of these talks, what makes you think they can be reasoned with? This is enough to put someone in a home. It's actually crazy.
Territorial question is one that he's not really willing to get to. Here's what he had to say.
The constitution of Ukraine makes it impossible to give up territory or trade land. Since the territorial issue is so important, it should be discussed only by the leaders of Ukraine and Russia at the trilateral.
Yeah, and Ukraine has accepted every ceasefire deal so far. They were at every meeting so far. Russia pulled out every time. And then we had our soldiers get on their knees for Putin to roll out the red carpet. And we said, oh, we're so lucky Putin came to American soil. We're so lucky. We're America, bro. Putin should be lucky to come to America. They are lucky as shit. We have a brain-dead president. And MAGA's talking like we had some royalty on our... We had filth on our soil, not royalty.
Ukraine, United States, Russia. So far, Russia gives no sign that trilateral will happen. And if Russia refuses, then new sanctions must follow.
So you can see there about Ukraine does not even have the ability without some sort of national referendum. By the way, one thing that is interesting compared to the Gallup polling that we've shown here, Ukrainian people are already mostly broken. I mean, many of them want a negotiation.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy that they are broken when they're being invaded by Russia.
Peace to the south. Now, maybe what Putin is demanding is too much. Like, quote, negotiated peace can mean a whole lot of different things.
Yeah,
but
true.
the point remains, like, you can see that he's absolutely not willing to even bring it up in this meeting right now with Trump. I want everyone to understand. All of this is in the public.
There's no reason
what they've said.
If Russia says to Trump the other day that they want safety for Ukraine. But if you listen to Russian media and Putin himself and the Kremlin, they view Ukrainian safety as Russian occupation. So in the same way the mafia will provide you protection by pretty much taking over your business and taking a percentage, Russia wants to do that with Ukraine to occupy them. So when Russia says they want peace or whatever, it's in that context. They view Ukraine as a fake state, a fake sibling or a fake like child that tore off from Russia, and they need to get it back into the greater Russia project.
Going to do. The European leaders there are there to hammer home only a single point. We need the ceasefire, and we need it now. They basically want to box the United States into their own insane position, which is all of these preconditions for peace, as if they are winning the war. Right. The reason Putin is irresolute
is being invaded. Why is a ceasefire such a big deal here? Why do you think a ceasefire is so crazy here? Like what?
Resolute is because he's winning the war. He has stood up against the sanctions. He has stood up against, obviously, the Ukrainian military. The Europeans have thrown everything that they possibly could at him. It doesn't matter. If they had the military might, they would do it. I mean, I talked to some military experts. In terms of the cards, the Russians have the cards because there's not a single thing not strapped to the ground that we could send Ukraine that was going to make a damn difference because of their own manpower issues. So this is all very important for everybody to understand.
The question to really ask here, I want to hear Krystal really quick once she has a turn to talk. There's Hillary. Okay, is he doing the whole segment? Okay, well, she's being such a pushover right now. And I've said that about her before. What was I going to say? Oh, God. I forget.
Does everybody want to shut down our economy because of Ukraine?
Yeah.
It's preposterous.
Yeah. I mean, I just see the whole thing as, it honestly is sickening because it is a tragedy of the failures of U.S. foreign policy over.
Yes. The real tragedy is America. The real enemy here in this entire thing has been America. America has caused it. America did a coup of Ukraine with the CIA. America is the reason Russia invaded because of NATO, you know.
Decades. You know, we use Ukraine as pawns, and that's what has led to.
Yeah, zero Ukrainians, when they had a revolution, cared about this. The Ukrainians today fighting for the survival of their country did not want to, you know, separate from Russia at all. You know, it's just the CIA did brainwaves and made them zombies like the chum bucket helmets in the SpongeBob movie. And no Ukrainians have any autonomy. They don't have any ability to control themselves. They don't have any like free will whatsoever. Ukraine, yeah, dude, yeah.
This horrifying outcome where, you know, what the Hawks are pushing for and is what is possibly going to happen, and what the Europeans, you know, would want out of this meeting today, and what Zelenskyy would want out of this meeting today, is to use secondary sanctions, like as if we haven't already sanctioned. Russia is the most sanctioned.
Oh my God, she's repeating
country on the planet already.
She's repeating Sagar's talking points. Oh no. The secondary sanctions are different because you punish countries working with the country. So you don't just sanction Russia so they can invade it. You say India or another country, we're going to penalize you. Okay, we're going to penalize you if you work with Russia.
The world.
But we're going to, you know, levy now secondary sanctions to try to put even more pressure on Russia to try to secure some sort of a, you know, immediate ceasefire without a larger peace deal. Russia's not going to go for that. But what that means for you is that once again, the U.S. tariff policy and trade policy is being used to effectuate these foreign policy goals, and that does have real impact on you and what prices you're paying and what, cost of living here is.
Yes, bro. Shit, dude. I got to pay 10 cents more.
In the U.S., and it's very unlikely to work. I mean, this is the insanity frequently of our foreign policy. I always think about Joe Biden when he was like, we're talking about the Houthi strikes, and he's like, we're going to continue the Houthi strikes. Are they going to work? No. Are they going to continue? Yes. So much of our foreign policy is driven that way. Do you think there's any reasonable expectation here in D.C. that if we levy some war sanctions or, secondary sanctions against Russia, that's going to somehow...
Oh, crap. Okay. This is what I was going to say.
No,
it's not a magical working, you dumb idiot, you brain dead moron. It's not a magical working. If a country is going to invade another sovereign territory and just take it and annex it, they cannot be accepted into the international fold. It's not about an instant fix. It's about you're going to have long-term pain. You're not invited back to the table. But Putin brought his oligarchic friends to, by the way, Krystal Ball, the donor class and oligarchs, they brought the oligarchs from Russia to come negotiate with Trump's oligarchs to make deals, economic deals, for them to all profit off this bullshit. Like, Russia and Trump are the ones working together on this. Oh, God.
Be honest.
War sanctions or, secondary sanctions.
It's not a quick fix. If you don't want to give weapons, the least you can do is cut out Russia from the global stage. It's not a country you can trust or work with. We've known this for how many years? The main question to ask is, if Russia could take all of Ukraine as America, would we let them, under Sagar's worldview or maybe Krystal's worldview? At what point would you give aid to Ukraine? At what point would you give aid? Now, if they don't want to give any aid to Ukraine, and we have NATO all throughout Eastern Europe, including bordering Russia with 5 or 6 countries, if you don't want to help Ukraine, then if Russia sent some type of minor offensive into a NATO country, will you give aid at that point? And if you're going to wait to give aid until that point, why would you not just provide basic aid now? Why would you not just provide basic aid now? Or do you let Russia take all of Ukraine, get rewarded for it? That would probably spark a global conflict, if anything. But you have to ask other questions. If they had to debate someone on this, you need to understand at what limit are they gonna keep going with this idealistic bullshit? All these anti-war people, everybody's anti-war, bro. Everybody's anti-war. War's not good, but America's not safer by bitching out of everything. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Crazy. I'm not talking about Ukraine and debates tonight. I'm sick of Ukraine. I talked about it for 1 hour. All right, guys. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate all of you. I saw Devin was here. Devin, no more money. Okay, no more. I was telling everyone, I've been working. I've been looking at my hours. I've literally been working 70 hours a week or 80 hours a week, and then YouTube. So 1 day of recovery was not enough. I'm gonna need to actually rest up for a longer stream. But all the donations you guys made, I am keeping that in the chamber. It will come eventually. But yeah, Joel Politics, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, if you want to donate. We're at 19% of the goal. Another 80%, and I get a brand new studio with an actual lighting setup, and we could start blowing up a little bit. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. What did I just do? I opened up a riot. Great. All right, who's the callers? This person just called.
Hello?
Howdy, what's up?
Oh, what's up, Jola? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
So, I've been on this show before, and usually I'm here to debate, but I actually don't want to. I'm going to be quick. I just wanted to let you know. Do you know a fellow debater, an atheist by the name of Jova? I mean, that might be his name. He's a black guy. Or this other guy named The Jimmy Show?
I don't know. What's
You're a Christian, right?
It depends what you mean by Christian.
Well, you believe in Christ.
I believe in the teachings of Christ, but I'm not a Christian in the sense that most Americans would probably be evangelical or even, or Catholicism. I'm not. I don't have any denomination or anything like that.
So you believe in God?
I'm a agnostic when it comes to God.
Oh wow! I thought you had believed in God. I had heard some previous videos of you I thought you had. Well, do you find atheism detestable? Like, do you find it to be something that maybe not atheism, but anti-theist? Because like I was talking to these guys, and I've debated before with people on the left. Like you were reasonable, you know, and I've debated with those guys, and they kept muting me and shutting me off and stuff. Do you think that
On TikTok?
that's too far left, or oh no, on YouTube?
Okay. They were muting you about what topic?
We were trying to talk about like they were like, well, can you prove to me that God is true, or the Christian God is true? And I was trying to keep going, and they just kept muting me and making fun of me and saying like, oh well, if we were Moses and we were talking about slavery, I was like, man, this is just so degenerate. Do you find that type of behavior degenerate? Like you're like, okay, this isn't my camp, this is just a whole nother camp? Or do you camp that in with all the left?
I mean, it depends on the topic. Anybody can engage with somebody in a not great way in conversation, but it really does depend on the flow of the conversation and everything like that. But I know the TikTok and most people are going to be more mute prone, but I'd have to know the conversation and what it was actually about. Because if you say like many Christians today, including our current government that Trump leads, he's not a Christian. He's a very disgusting. Well, actually, I'm not gonna. That doesn't really matter because Christians can be disgusting too. But like Pete Hegseth, for example, is a Christian nationalist that does not believe women should be able to vote. And he probably believes a lot of other crazy shit too. So if it's that conversation, I can imagine someone getting frustrated.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even really talking about that. I was just like trying to make a point, and they kept cutting me off. The only reason I'm explaining it is because I actually thought that you were a theist, but never mind. Now I won't hold you much longer.
It's too hard to say. I think people that say that God is 100% real are drawing upon divine power. And I think that if you do believe in God, that we are fallible and we make mistakes, and even things like interpreting the Bible. Anyone that interprets it too closely, I think is, kind of misguided. So God in general to me would be all meaning and all things. So you could have a relationship with God in a different context, and whatever that context might be can inform your moral decisions and everything like that. But I don't like it when someone uses it like, well, God is a king and God decides that some people are good, some people are bad, and I'm going to be a warrior for God, and therefore every action I take upon God is righteous, and I'm not going to question anything about my belief system. So I don't like that. But yeah, thank you for the call.
Yeah, you have a good one.
All right, thank you too. See you. Nice. See, you guys told me to take phone calls, and I get a conversation about God. Like, there's no one debating on MAGA anymore. Thank you for watching, dropping a like, commenting, subscribed. Thank you for donations and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for liking and subscribing. That's not my fault. Now you owe me 69 cents. Every time you make me take a call and it's bad, I get 69 cents. Or you could be like the MyPillow guy and send $14.88. Don't do that. That's a hate crime. That is a hate crime. At what point do you listen to Marco Rubio, Howard Lutnick, President Trump, or this podcaster? Gee, who's smarter? So, like, for example, Lutnick said that inflation is not caused at all by tariffs. You know that is fake, so he's lying to you. Marco Rubio was campaigning in 2016 saying he would never give up on fighting Trumpism. Now he's a Trump lackey because he wants power. So you believing politicians over me is probably actually pretty dumb, because their incentives are to lie to you. I don't have any incentive for that. I care about this country. I want this country to be great. I have a stake in this country being good, so I'm doing this because I give a shit. They want to get power. I can't get power through this bullshit. I deal with you dumbasses calling in, bringing up a bunch of dumbass topics that no one gives a shit about except you, because you want to talk about you want to talk about the dumbest shit possible for this country, and we have no choice but to engage in your dumbass, broke ass conversations. Oh shit. You say things with no evidence. Hello. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good, man. I'm on your side. So if you know anything about how Venezuela became a dictatorship, but Trump is following the same steps. So if you got enough followers, just warn everybody. I'm from there, and it just sucks, man. Just you guys better watch out for that.
Well, I mean, it's everyone. Hitler, like, the conversation about the Smithsonian right now that Trump's saying about, like, censoring the history of slavery and censoring every bad part of American history and making it only about the good parts. That's what every single dictator does. They go after art and they go after museums and history to try and erase it. So the fact Trump is going after that aggressively, and he's like, we can't even reference at all a time in American history where we made mistakes. That is super scary, super cultish. And needs to be stopped, but it's not going to be stopped. And I'm scared because he's friends with all the AI people and all the tech companies. If they wanted to make a completely different fake reality, like 1984 style, if you know that book by George Orwell, they could easily do it. And Americans are too brain dead to not fall into that trap. And I've had no proof whatsoever that Americans have enough mental fortitude to not fall into that trap. And I'm hoping that the rejection of Trump is strong enough in these midterms so they can't have a full authoritarian state developed.
Yeah, but I was scared about the midterms too, because he's talking about these things that he wants to do or he wants to on the electoral system, and that's also something Venezuelan did. They just took power of the Venezuelan system, or the people that make the elections, and that's how you start taking control of everything. They just fixed the elections and then started choosing who they want, like all the Senate, all the Congress, and then we're fucked. Then change the Constitution, and that's it.
And he wanted to seize voting machines and everything too. What we did right away, and Americans didn't care nearly enough. We had a lot of like Venezuelans come here seeking asylum, and we sent them to El Salvador to be tortured and raped with no due process, no process whatsoever. We laughed at them. They came from a dictatorship, like you said, you had to, go through that kind of stuff to be able to make it out of it. And in my opinion, like immigrants in America have a very low crime rate for that exact reason. It selects for people who escape dictatorships, who make it to America by by gritting their teeth and working their ass off, or it's people who are wealthy and they'll probably be higher, skill or trained or whatever. But it selects for people who really want to be in a better country and a better place, naturally. But America has spit in their face, and even back in our history, like Ronald Reagan talked about immigrants in a very positive way. But now with Trump, you have to want to put immigrants in a camp to be eaten by alligators, or you're not far right enough for him.
Yeah. Well, just keep your work, man. You're doing great. I just wanted to keep. It's perfect that you're trying to like knock some sense on people that are not seeing all these things because they don't pay attention that much to politics or what's going on here, I guess. So if you can share your word or heard, that's great. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you calling. I appreciate you sharing, man.
Yeah.
All right, have a good night. See ya. Peace.
Cops in the street.
Yeah. Tim Dillon is known for being like a podcaster comedian who speaks truth to power. He also dines with JD Vance randomly on the weekends. So he is a mixed bag when it comes to this stuff. He's worked with Alex Jones and all that kind of stuff, but he's talking here about the military in the streets and authoritarianism in America.
They've already got the cops in the street that are not cops or
the military.
They've already got the National Guard on the street.
True.
They already have all your information in D.C.
Yep.
And now
and Palantir's collecting it.
They just get to decide what is and isn't over the line. That should scare everybody. You're fucking nuts, dude. If this doesn't scare you, you're nuts.
Maybe you should stop dining with JD Vance, all right? And don't let them swoon you into being soft on the administration. The fact that JD Vance and all these different politicians take hours out of their day to meet with podcasters should be a sign to be wary about. I don't know if Tim Dillon has talked about that at all, if he regrets meeting with Vance like that. But yeah, dude, if you want to be against the system, do not be the system, or no one's going to trust you.
All of these things that Alex Jones, and I've had Alex on, I like Alex, but all these things that Alex Jones was like worried about when I listened to him in the late 90s, early 2000s are coming to fruition.
Now he supports it. Now
And
Alex Jones supports it.
I don't know where he is on all of that stuff, but like, I know he's a big fan of Trump, but like, this is everything Alex Jones always talked about.
No, because Alex Jones used it as a fake conspiracy for radical movements to topple liberal governments. Okay, he did not like liberal governments, and liberal can be conservative or liberal in America. It can be a government that guarantees rights and freedom. So he does not support the deep state. He likes Trump because, you know, Alex Jones can't say it right away, but he's pro-authoritarian. He hated the government before because the government protected classes of people that he hates.
Military in the street, the FEMA camp,
but when he's in charge,
company that monitors everything, the surveillance, this is all of that. I mean, not to sound like a fucking nut, this is everything a crackhead. And I don't even mean a crackhead like crack, but a guy smoking weed in a room with a fucking black light and a fucking, insane clown posse tattoo on his arm. I'm thinking of a very specific guy I was friends with. But this is everything that guy would have talked about. He'd be like, bro, there's going to be military in the street. They're going to put you in jail for your fucking thoughts, man. If you just say them, bro, you're going to be in fucking jail. There's going to be a fucking company that monitors everything you do, bro. Like, this is literally the wet dream of every conspiracy theorist that has ever lived, and it's happening now.
True. Someone in chat says that Kamala was mentally unweak. Wait. Chat said Kamala is mentally compromised. You did not like Kamala because she is a woman. She sounds like a woman. She laughs a lot. She is a liberal elitist from San Francisco, California area, whatever. I don't know where she was born, but you know, that general geographic location. She is not a white woman. She's a woman as well. Okay, did I say that? She's a woman. She is not white. She is, I don't think she's the most personable person. I don't really love her personality or the way she talks in podcasts or the media. She's not meant for this political era. She would have done great like 10 or 15 years ago, I think. But like, you did not like her for the dumbest possible reasons. Everything she spit was facts about Trump being swooned by Vladimir Putin. Now Trump's now after Kamala said that, you know, Trump can be easily persuaded by dictators if they're nice to him. And now all Republicans are playing first to the knee pads. It's the game where they rush to the knee pads to give fellatio to Putin. Pookie Bear Putin. Trump does anything for Pookie Bear Putin. Trump said he's going to make a deal with Trump and Ukraine because Putin just likes Trump that much. And yeah, Kamala was spot on about every single thing Trump was going to do. When Trump threatened to use the military after political opponents, he's already doing that. All you people that said you guys are crazy TDSers for saying Trump's going to use the military and just say everything's an emergency and put them in American streets for no reason. Now DC, you're cheering it on. They have tanks in front of the National Mall, in front of the Union Station in DC. I've been there. I felt safe as shit. Now I don't feel safe to go there. I don't want to go back for anything for work. I don't want to go back to DC with all the random federal agents walking around. I feel much less safe without those assholes walking around than a random guy pissing on the sidewalk. Every single damn time. Every single time. I don't want the government to have unidentified federal agents doing random operations. We have Secret Service walking through DC doing bullshit. FBI. We have and by the way, FBI had no masking on. Then these dumbass ICE agents, these Golden Corral warriors that just broke out the freaking buffet line, they have masking on. But FBI has no mask on. But the ICE agents are little special cookies who need a mask on. It's pathetic, bro. It's pathetic the shit you'll support. You'll speedrun this country into authoritarianism because you have tiny dick syndrome. And you don't want to hear someone speak who you think sounds smarter than you because you think they're going to be condescending. And that's why Gavin Newsom, Gruesome Newsom, is going crazy on Twitter right now. Because you dumbasses understand one language, and that's grunting like a Neanderthal. Kamala bad, Trump good. Kamala high tax, Trump low tax. Ugh. That's what you are. Please drop a like, repost this video, and follow my page. That was a good rant. That was a good rant, dude. I gotta clip that. That was a good rant. I gotta edit that. That was a good rant. That was a good rant. That was actually a good rant. You know what? I hit all the points under that. That was all freestyle too. That was all a freestyle rant, and I really enjoyed that one. I'm not gonna lie. I really enjoyed that rant. Thank you. I think you are safe in DC, which is the point. I don't care. But wait. When I walk through white neighborhoods, like growing up in my all-white town, I got called Osama bin Laden, bro. I get really tan. I'm really ambiguous. I've spoken to people from that, like, who, you know, are Arab and Italian, and I get called Jewish because of my nose. I've been called a gypsy many times, mainly by guys I play NBA 2K with, who are hoteps. The graphics on the new Fascism vans, yeah, that shit's awesome, dude. Alright, this guy wanted to talk. Thank you for dropping like. Please comment, subscribe, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you again, Corey, for $5 earlier. Again, we're at 5%. We're at 19% to the goal. Almost at 20%. Almost at 20%. Really appreciate it. I might do. What time is it? 12:30. I feel like I might need another algorithm boost. Thank you for 100. Wait, 100 for 2 joules. Thank you for another 100 for 2 joules. Whatever that means. Should I do a new stream? One of the weirdest racisms. I'm definitely Eastern European and Italian. That's my biggest. I have a little bit of Western Europe, UK, but it's mostly Eastern. I have some borderline Northern Africa, Middle East, but that's only like 5 or 10% in 23andMe. But like it's like 40% Eastern European, 30% Italian, like 5% like Southern Europe, Northern Africa, and then like the rest is UK. If you're gonna start a new stream, tell me now. Should I start a new one to finish out? I don't know if this guy still wants to talk. What do you guys think? Should I do a new stream? Here, I'll do a vote. We are all mixed, but it's about complexion. Should we start a new stream? Haha, Vandred. That's not happening tonight. You know that's not happening tonight. Because I'm going to die if I do it. And I'll pass out and have a heart attack. I have to Amazon tomorrow morning. I'm still on that grind. I'm still on that grind every time I find. I want to respond to Tom McDonald, by the way. I want to respond to Tom McDonald. All right, here's okay, so a little bit of lore with me, with my channel. Really, wait, should I do a new stream? Kyle being ignored on what? Make a new stream. Okay, I'm gonna make a new stream, guys. I'm making a new stream. I'm making a new stream, guys. There it is. I got told to make a new stream. All right, I'll make a new stream. I'm resetting the stream. Reset my channel. Refresh my page. Thank you. I'm doing a new stream. I'm ending this one and starting a new one. Thank you. 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 All right. I'll see you guys in a second. Horizontal. No horizontal.